Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suttress here, back from C2E2. Man, what a great weekend. I am wiped out, but smiling. It was like a satisfying 15 rounds of boxing. It definitely worked me over, but in a good way, and I think I came out of it, at the very least, with a draw, if not a win. So many of the League of Word Balloon listeners came up and shook my hand, yes, even with the threat of coronavirus, and wished me well, and I appreciate that. And as I always like to say at conventions, I feel like I'm running for mayor, because between the greetings and good wishes I share with creators and listeners, it feels like I'm running for office. I'm not, but it's great to know that everyone's appreciating Word Balloon, enjoying the program, and supporting the program, both by being on it and listening, and it really, really means a lot. And today's two guests are no exception, Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor. It's been a while since I've had a talk with both of them, and it was great to do one of the panels that featured them, the Spotlight panel on them, late Saturday afternoon at C2E2 at McCormick Place in Chicago. We had a blast. We talked about their Black Label book, Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey, and all the things that they were allowed to put in it, and some things they were not allowed to put in it. The initials RT might come up in the, or no, UT, excuse me, in the conversation. I'll leave it at that. It's so funny, my companion episode today with Sarah Beatty and Tim Seeley, and talking about their R-rated book, Money Shot. I would say this is a PG-13 conversation, but that's all right. It's always good entertainment, and truly, they're the most adorable couple, one of them, in comics. I love that they work together. I've always enjoyed Amanda's art on so many great projects, not only things she's done specifically with Jimmy, starting with things like The Pro and her work on Painkiller Jane, but also going into, Power Girl, and of course their other run on Harley Quinn, their first time at the character. But, we also talk about Amanda's Before Watchmen story with Darwin Cook about the Silk Spectre and what she was doing in the 60s. It is one of my truly favorite stories that Amanda has ever been part of, and she co-plotted and wrote the book with Darwin. Of course, she drew it with Darwin as well, and it's truly one of my favorite Amanda Connor stories. I had to ask her about it and get more into detail. And we talk about Harley. We take a lot of audience questions as well, and it was just a fun, freewheeling conversation. They're funny. They're very fun. Jimmy is so Brooklyn. He sweats Brooklyn in the best way. They're both in Florida now. Doesn't matter. You can't take the Brooklyn out of the boy, and it shows very evidently when Jimmy talks. But it's always an interesting conversation. Plus, Jimmy is like one of the most innovative creators from a business standpoint. He gets it. Don't forget, he and Joe Quesada created Marvel Knights when Marvel was at the brink of bankruptcy. And they turned to Jimmy and Joe, and Jimmy was just as important as Joe in terms of taking Black Panther and Daredevil and Punisher and so many other great books and making them matter again. So when we're in this kind of current status quo of event to event to event by the big two and the big shakeup at DC Comics, my last episode that I put out before putting out these two this week, talking about the exit of Dan DiDio, Jimmy's a guy that can, comics don't need to be saved. And it kind of drives me nuts when people have that premise of comics need to be saved. No. Comics aren't going away. They might get smaller, they might get whatever, we're not really sure. And it's so ironic as the big two's licensing of the properties continue to matter in television and film and bed sheets and toys and birthday cakes and greeting cards, you name it. So where do comics fit in the equation? What do they need to do to stay relevant to a big audience? And Jimmy gives his 2 cents on the matter as well. But it's a great conversation. I think you'll enjoy it. Jimmy and Amanda on a spotlight panel here on today's Word Balloon. It's all brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Thank you greatly, League, for your support via Patreon. Patreon.com/wordballoon. I met so many League members. I ran out of domino masks and capes to hang out, virtual ones. I don't actually have those. I can't carry those around the show. It's bad enough they searched my bag when I walked in. But no, it was really great meeting everybody and thanking them directly for their support by listening to Word Balloon. In a lot of cases, too, by subscribing to Word Balloon. It really means a lot. And it's nice to know that you guys get what I'm trying to do here. And women. Thank you, really. And I really did get a nice cross-section of people saying that they like to listen to the show and they enjoy what I do. They were appreciative of the panels that I did. I got one more panel from C2E2 that I'll be presenting later this week. But I thank you greatly for your support. Patreon.com/wordballoon, or go to the Word Balloon front page of wordballoon.com and click on the Patreon ad. And if you like Word Balloon and you can swing it and you want to subscribe, is it worth $1 a month to you? Would it be worth the price of a comic book a month to you? I hope so. I try to provide really fun entertainment every month here at Word Balloon with great conversations and great insight on what's going on in pop culture via comics. Thank you greatly for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. This episode of Word Balloon also brought to you by Aftershock Comics. Checked in with Aftershock, had a great meal with my buddy Steve Rotterdam, and hung out with Joe Pruitt a bit, and we threw back some drinks and had some good conversations. I keep telling Joe, I got to get you to sit down in the chair, man. Got to have a conversation. He's up to it. He's willing to do it. I hadn't seen him forever. It's been a couple of years. I've known Joe since his Desperado years. Joe and Mike Martz are kind of the creative guys behind Aftershock Comics, and they're the ones that are bringing in such incredible talent like Marguerite Bennett and Garth Ennis and Donnie Cates and Cullen Bunn, Tim Seeley, Paul Jenkins over the years. But also, we've got brand new books that deserve your attention. Stephanie Phillips back with another great Aftershock comic, Artemis and the Assassins, coming this month. John Layman's brand new The Man Who Effed Up Time debuted last month, along with Zach Thompson's Undone by Blood, Mark Sable's God Killers. Tremendous books, interesting genre-bending books that deserve your attention. Don't take my word for it. Go to their website. You'll find full story descriptions, preview pages, and the way to get at these books through the diamond codes to order them at your local shop at AftershockComics.com. All right, let's get into it now. We started a big conversation because they were cracking me up as everyone was getting ready to shoot video. There will be video of this panel as well in a couple days. I just got to tweak it a little bit here and there and get it to the right format to upload to YouTube. But in the meantime, you can enjoy the soundtrack of a very fun conversation. Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connor on today's Word Balloon.
Now, I had it when we go down south and do signings, once in a while I get guys like, I made this, liquor. You want some? No, they made it. They're bringing me the moonshine.
Exactly, that's
right?
fantastic.
And I mean, you open it, and it's like, whoa. Like, literally your eyebrows are gone, right? Because it burns them off.
Yeah, man.
And they go, yeah, and and I don't want to be, like...
disrespectful.
So I take a shot.
Well, yeah.
And that's why I'm getting root canal. I've
had tremors ever since.
It's wonderful.
Something right.
Here's Amanda. It's wonderful when people bring us stuff, but it's always some strange things. Once in a while, it's like a bag with one cookie in it, and they're like, "Yeah, I made this for you," and I'm like,
"No."
And then I find one of the guys working it. You want to have a cookie? Then I watch him all day. See if he starts acting goofy.
Or drops dead.
Or drops dead.
Yeah.
We haven't had anybody. Amanda of 1,000 bags.
I know.
We should just make you open the bag. That should be the panel.
I can do that.
Okay.
I can totally do that.
All right.
Yeah.
We
are videotaping and podcasting. So
okay.
I know we got. I'm glad we got dedicated Jimmy and Amanda fans, but there's a couple thousand more that are going to hear it on Word Balloon. So
cool. Very cool. Sorry,
I don't care what we say.
Donuts.
No, you're
this gentleman. What's your name? Steve. You want some donuts? You want a donut?
I want a donut.
I was telling about the wonderful sandwich we just ate.
It was like the non-McRib.
It was constructed in a lab. It actually looks like a rib, but
not like really. McRib. It has like that molded rib thing going on.
By the way, I saw the guy and he pulled it out of a cage full of other rib things with a thing, and then dipped it in some barbecue sauce and slapped it on a roll. And for some reason, there was just a tiny piece of onion hanging on the edge of the cup it was in. And I'm like, what the hell? It's,
you guys been in enough cons to not eat
what is
con
with conventions? And would it kill them to make like really good food? No. Like, they charge you like $20
yes,
for a mystery hot dog.
Right.
The Polish sausage is like impressive. Have you guys seen that? It's like that.
Sure.
And that
Chicago, man.
It's girthy.
It is.
It's girthy. Chicago, the house is girthy.
Jimmy was staring at them.
I was staring at them because I was waiting for them to move. I was looking for the horse that it was attached to. Actually,
this is why I look forward to talking to them.
This is best by my birthday.
Oh, wait.
No kidding.
Look at that, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
You did good.
Which millennial?
I don't know. Maybe I can like save it. All
Okay.
right. I'll save it.
All right.
Does anybody want a donut before we start? A little donut. You do? You want?
Casual went up.
Come on up.
Come on. Started yet?
No. It's all the warm up.
This is a guy that's going to go far in life because he's willing to embarrass himself to get something to eat. When the coronavirus kicked in, he's going to have one house full of food. There you go, buddy. Enjoy. Let's keep an eye on him.
Let's see how his progress is throughout the day.
I ate one already.
You did? Let's keep an eye on him. Can you see me, Amanda? Okay.
Okay. One of my favorite comic book power couples, everybody, Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Carr.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Well, I do have a ton of questions. I do want to start with the obvious because I don't think I've ever asked this question. How did you guys meet and get together?
We met at Marvel.
Amanda seduced me.
we were friends for 4 years before we got together.
Yeah,
we shared an editor on Gargoyles, the Gargoyles comic. Who remembers the Gargoyles comic?
Yeah, that's how I met.
Who remembers the Gargoyles TV show, the animated show? Yeah. So they were. I loved doing the Gargoyles book because it was Disney, but it wasn't Disney, and I had done the other Disney books. And they were such a pain because they would make you change every little tiny thing.
You had to draw them out.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I traced a Simba once, and they were like, "This doesn't look quite right." And I'm like, "Now you're just making stuff up, to make me change." But the Buena Vista guys, who Gargoyles, were awesome to work for.
That's cool.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
How long did it take before you got to start doing your own stuff? Because Sanford Green is another person that had to draw and model for years before finally breaking through. It's like, no, I actually draw like this. So.
My first, thank you. We did. I did some Painkiller Jane stuff a little bit after that, and some more like creator-owned stuff. But my own I think my very first creator-owned thing was probably the Pro.
Both of you actually, bro.
For the kids.
Was that the Italian convention where they had a
No, we were in. That was in Germany.
Okay, go on.
And for the people who read the book and people who didn't, there's a scene. So she's a superhero prostitute,
the Pro,
and the Superman type character saves her kid's life. So she proceeds to, how would I say this? Like, give me a.
Well, she returns the favor
by
her occupation.
By getting on her knees and taking care of her. Okay?
Dirtying her knees.
Dirtying her knees. There you go. That's a nice way of saying it. So, again, in Germany, they took the page.
This is not an American convention at all.
No, they took that page and they made this giant thing with stairs.
Giant wooden thing.
You climb up to and you can put your head and make your head be Superman. And people could take pictures of it.
Oh, by the way, it wasn't Superman, it was the Saint.
The Saint, right. The Saint, right. The Superman type guy. So people were online to get their picture of the Pro going down.
Yeah.
It would never happen here. It would be like people would, there'd be police cars, people would be shot. God forbid, like a nipple pops out, everybody dies. Like, I think a nipple's scarier than the coronavirus to people right now. You put a nipple and they're like, oh my God, it's a nipple. I'm like, oh yeah, here you go. Anyway, yeah. So that was
cool.
Yeah, but
As a journey, that was the birthplace of the Pro. In a bar called Fitzpatrick's.
We thought it was Fitzpatrick's, and we said, "Ooh, an Irish bar in Germany." And then one day,
the last night we're like, "Wait a minute."
That says Fritz.
Fitzpatrick's.
It's Fritz.
It's nice to know they have a sense of humor.
Yeah, it was a joke thing. We were all drinking, and I think Garth and Amanda were like, "What if there was a superhero prostitute that Amanda drew on a napkin?" And I said, "Let me see if I can sell it." The first people we approached was DC.
And it was a reception.
I'm sure Paul loved
It was a giant no. They were like, no way. And then I hit all these other publishers who were not interested. One publisher, I don't want to say, said that it's a terrible name. If you change the name, we'll take it. And I said, we're not changing the name. It's called Pro. And then went to Image, and they said, absolutely, we'll do it.
Thank you, Image.
Yeah, and that started Amanda's real humor.
Yeah, that's when people. That's what I said at the panel before, the sketch duel panel. I said that is the point where people stopped calling me the Barbie artist. They, once they read that book, they're like, oh, she's not the Barbie artist anymore.
Oh, that's hilarious.
The Barbie artist.
Yeah, I mean, even if you read Harley, like all the outrageous, crazy stuff is Amanda.
Oh, that's awesome.
But if the internet thinks it's offensive or against somebody, it becomes my fault. So it's really funny how if they hate it, Palmiotti's Harley Quinn. If they love it, Amanda Connor's Harley Quinn. It's hysterical. I mean, we laugh at it. I'm like, it's never my compliment. It's always Palmiotti's went too far, but Amanda Connor really, and I'm like, oh, come on.
It was my idea to do the poop humor in issue 8 in Harley.
Yes.
Because I'm a poop humor. I enjoy it. It's funny.
Have people picked up issue 1 of Harley and the Birds of Prey, the new book?
A couple of people.
Few.
It's out now. Yeah, it's out now. It's a black label Harley Quinn book.
So they
Has the Birds of Prey in it. We saw the movie. I don't know if you guys seen the movie. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's not what you expect. That's what I always tell people. It's not what you expect. It's a lot more violent than I ever thought it would be. That's for sure. But the book is a 4-issue miniseries, and we have Harley, the Gang of Harleys, Red Tool, Power Girl, Atlee's in the next issue, number 2. Poison Ivy's in 3 issues.
Cyborg, has he showed up yet? Is he going to show up?
Psy was in it. And his girlfriend, what's her name?
Xena.
Xena what?
Yeah, Xena Bendamova.
Okay. I like to make Amanda say that. So we put everybody, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It gets wilder, and we'll see how far we can push the envelope, because it's an adult black label book, so everything has to go a little crazy. We did already get censored a couple of times, because they were like,
no, you can't do that.
Yeah, we got a call that says, honestly, it's going to print, you need to change this page and this page.
You have to opaque something like Batman.
Well, I had to cover something up with a little octopus.
There you go.
If you see the book, you'll know she has a giant octopus on her chest.
He's little. He's not giant.
Okay.
What else did I have to... Oh, we had to change a character from one character to another character, because we do not do that to Batman.
But it's okay to do it with the Superman.
Here's something else. Superman, and we found this out, is not allowed to say unicorn taint. So...
We had to pull that from the book.
Yeah, we had to pull it.
Getting a note saying you can't say unicorn taint.
Or you can't have Superman saying unicorn.
And we're like,
Harley can totally say it.
And all the curses, but unicorn taint, they're like, no, you've gone too far. I'm like, it's not even a real thing, man. Come on. I did, in issue 3, I did stick a couple of Viagra jokes in.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did. It's I was just because I was,
Because you were tired?
Yeah, it was an old guy who was talking, and he said, Harley's like, so how's it hanging? And he's like, not too great these days. And he says, and she goes, there's a little blue pill for that. And he says, well, I do take it already. That's so I don't roll off the bed every night. Okay, not the greatest joke, but at least,
They let you do it, though.
No, they didn't let me.
Then when they get through...
Well, we don't know yet.
Oh, okay.
We don't know yet.
I mean, if it's... Wait, who's the guy she's talking to?
He's a doorman, and I just really...
Oh, okay. I mean, as long as it's not Batman saying it, I think...
No.
Now, whenever we talk about Harley Quinn, I always like to point out, because honestly, and if I'm wrong, tell me.
Sure.
You've never told me I'm wrong. But I always felt, as an old school comic book fan, that maybe the inspiration for your tone with Harley came from Will Elder and Little Annie Fang.
Okay, I love that strip.
Yeah.
But Annie was oblivious, right?
Right. Fair.
More often than not, it comes from Chuck Jones' Bugs Bunny.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where Harley's sort of up to mischief all the time.
Yeah, so we started calling Harley the Bugs Bunny of the DC comic universe.
Makes sense.
Because she's always messing with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Deep down, she's great. She's a good person, but she's
got a few issues.
Just no impulse control.
Yeah.
But that's what makes a book fun, right? Because you never know where it's going to go. And when we write it, we make it, if it seems like it's going this direction, you're wrong.
Well,
it's going to go somewhere else.
Good.
And so for the 4 issues, I know it's sad.
By the way, he is adorable.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What is that? that baby dress? It looks like a skunk, but it's not a skunk.
They're bug and blue.
Oh, look at that.
You guys are so
Oh, you guys are adorable.
I see it now. I see it. I get the whole thing. Oh my god.
Get them some licorice.
I am going to explode. I'm going to die of just cute overload right now.
Did you guys see the movie?
Yeah.
Did you see? Why did they call him Bruce, though?
She says in the movie that she named him after that Wayne guy.
That hot millionaire guy, yeah.
Yeah. They needed more of the hyena in it. I got scared that one part. I don't want to ruin it for people. I was like, what
They
happened?
didn't have the budget for Bruce.
Yeah.
More than what he
It was a lot of budget. I think that's where they blew most of their budget was the hyena. It was actually they told us that it was a German Shepherd that was CGI'd over to look like a hyena because you can't train hyenas; they just attack you.
Yeah.
You know?
Somebody tried.
I actually know a person that got attacked by a hyena. A friend of mine from high school went to do like a year of college overseas in Africa taking care of animals, and she went to change the water in the injured hyena pen, and the hyena went after her, and she's got this big scar on her leg. It's very impressive, but she's got a great story now. But yeah, hyenas aren't trainable.
Didn't she also get attacked by lions?
No.
Okay. Something I was thinking about, maybe. Just like,
You mentioned Jane Painkiller Jane. Was that part of your original comic label with Axe and everything? And right now I'm blanking on what it was.
with Ash? Like event comics?
Yeah, was it event? Yeah, it was through event.
Yeah, so Joe Cassandra and I in '95 had enough, and we put out a couple of books. Ash, which was a fireman superhero, and Painkiller Jane, which is like an indestructible female cop.
Indestructible girl.
Yes. Get in the audience. You gonna heckle me from up here?
Yes.
Anyway, so we did that, and then while we were doing that, Marvel was like Chapter 11, and they asked Joe and I to come up and run a bunch of books, and that became Marvel Knights. That was Kevin Smith, and it was Black Panther, Daredevil, Punisher, and Inhumans.
Yes.
And we did that, and that was fun, and they gave us the penthouse of Marvel Comics in Manhattan. We asked for the penthouse, and they gave it to us. Which literally, it was like a weird thing, like we want the penthouse of the building, and they moved the people that were in the penthouse to another floor. They gave us the penthouse. And
I didn't even know there were people up there.
There were Glenn Hardling and his crew were up there.
Oh,
yeah, they were all up there. And
Glenn still loves you.
He still loves me. And we put like furniture and TVs and couches up there, and we edited from up there.
It really was the penthouse.
It was
like Party Central.
It was. We were trying to okay, so before Kevin Smith on Daredevil, and some of your older people remember this, comics were not very cool. And nobody really talked about comics in the media. Like Kevin Smith was the guy that was going out and saying, hey, I'm writing Daredevil. He was on Letterman and everything. I'm writing Daredevil. It's a cool comic. You got to read comics. Before that, no celebrity would ever say, I read comic books or anything. And when Joe and I were asked to do Marvel Knights, I said, I want to make it so it's cool to read these books and not to be ashamed of comics. And Joe and I did a bunch of, we did Good Morning America. We did all these shows that were last place that you'd expect us to pop up and talk about comics, to try to get them into mainstream. At this point, at the time, I think Blade finally came out.
Yeah, 98.
98. And Blade was great. I mean, the first Blade was amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know, it opened up with that blood disco. It was great. Yes. But we were trying to push the thing, comics are cool, what's wrong with you people? Comic movies could be great if you get people that love the comic books instead of giving them to these guys who think they know them and change them all the time.
Or try to reimagine. It's like, stop reimagining. They're already imagined perfectly as they are.
Yeah. We still get reimagined. I have, Jonah Hex and stuff like that where I just wanted to jump off the bridge.
God, yes. I know. Jimmy, it was so disappointing because you guys were killing it and you got amazing artists to draw that.
We were happy that Jonah Hex was doing great, and they decided to make a movie.
And Josh Brolin, perfect fit for an actor.
Josh was wonderful. He was not the problem. The problem was DC just would not take me and Justin and say, let these guys consult on this, because boy, oh boy, they went and made a non-Western Western.
Yeah, it was like steampunk superhero, and it's like, no, Jonah Hex is a great Western. It's fine.
I had the one guy exec at Warner Brothers who's not there anymore tell me, nobody will spend money to see a straight Western. But the great part is, and I got to throw it back at him, was a month later, True Grit came out by the Coen Brothers, and it was a monster hit for like 2 months. And I said, what about that? That has no flying fireballs. It has no. He doesn't. Well, the thing was like Jonah Hex is raising the dead to find somebody, and I kept going. He's a tracker. He doesn't have to raise the dead. He just has to look and find them. Anyway. Where were we? I'm going to keep going, so... I'm kidding.
And seriously, folks, feel free to start lining up to ask questions, because I love to hear... And
you can yell it. You don't have to stand. You can just yell it, because we don't care.
Oh, that's fine.
The weirder, the better.
Unicorn taint.
Good. But what am I wearing?
Unicorn taint.
Unicorn taint. What about it?
What's the name of a shop?
I can't wait to see them at Lollapalooza this year.
Yeah, it's a great band. It's a good band name, Unicorn taint.
No, but and you kind of said Marvel was in bankruptcy. It's like, yeah, Marvel was in bankruptcy. I mean, that was just literally the late 90s, like over 20 years ago.
$700 million bank,
there you go.
In the hole.
And so, and
that would be $700
things are kind of, we don't know what's going to happen with DC. I know, by the way.
Today, you mean?
Yeah, well, no. And I don't want you to get into the drama necessarily, but you and Joe pulled Marvel out of the shed.
Yes.
And so, as an armchair quarterback, can you look at current DC and say, gee, I wish they do X, and I don't want to cost you your job.
No, it won't cost my job, because I'm a consumer. I buy comics, I have a pull box.
Yeah.
My office is in the back of a comic shop in Clearwater, Florida. If you're ever down there, it's called Emerald City Comics, and it's the size of like 6 of these rooms. It's giant.
It's like 3 of them.
The whole warehouse? It's a warehouse. It's a giant.
Oh, I haven't gone in the back.
Yeah. But anyway, so being a consumer, I look at things differently than the guys making comics. The guys making comics, they have their agenda. We want to make money, right? The company wants to make money. The creators have their agenda. I want to work on this character. They don't normally get to anyway, but so I just think if you become license motivated, meaning I'm more worried about toys and sheets, bed sheets, and
birthday cakes. Yeah.
You have to have people in place that worry more about story and character development and what the audience wants.
And making comics.
Right. But the thing is, you have to have the big ears on for what the audience wants. And there's a lot of things. The audience doesn't want everything restarted all the time.
No.
But the book should be approachable for new readers, right? So I like the idea of a book being number 1,185 because I don't care. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, we did Marvel Knights. You guys will notice when Joe and I signed the comics, they were all number 1s, but in Daredevil we kept the numbering for the old book. So in the signature there's a number. That's what it would have been. Because that was like an idea we had, because I said, I don't like the number 1s all the time. I get that the retailers like it to get new people in.
Sure.
But there should always be a little number inside that says the actual number, instead of volume 19.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was an X-Men reader, so was Amanda, and Chris Claremont, and John Byrne, and I love that. And to my brain, that's still my X-Men. But every generation has another thing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think both big companies, have to start listening to what the public want. Now, not everything, because you go on the internet, there's a lot of angry people.
Right.
I don't know what's happening.
Vocal. The angry ones are more vocal than the ones that are just like, I guess because the ones that are happy are just sitting at home reading their books.
It's like dinner. The happy one is quietest one, because he's eating. He's enjoying it, right? The unhappy one is the one complaining, where's this, where's that? So the happy people don't usually, their voices are a little lower than the angry people.
Yeah.
And then you realize they have their own agendas, There's an ass for every seat. We all know the sayings, And my internet presence is, the only power people have over you is your reaction to them. So when they want to poke me, I just don't react. And that shuts them down right away. And we have another rule. This I like to teach everybody. When you tweet something, if you're on Twitter or Facebook, you have to be okay with what you're writing as being the headline of the story that's going to represent you. So if you tweet something, think about it. That's the headline of a story about you. Would you be okay with that? you know? Because of course I get people who go, "Hey, you suck," and I always laugh, and I'm like, "Okay." You know? Or they say, "I hated the book," and I'm like, "Well, you know, you should check out this other book." That's the last thing they want to hear. They want to hear me get mad at them, but I don't empower them. You know, that's like the easy way. So internet etiquette is really funny. So we're all getting smarter now, right? The internet's teaching us to be smarter, have a little more empathy, understand somebody's going through something hard. They might be angry for a reason, so why throw gasoline on that fire? I just like to exit the room if I have to. You know, I don't know, but we don't know what we're talking about again. What are we talking about?
No, I was asking you, like, how do you, like, what is needed to keep comics, you know,
So,
and even take a pulse on
These guys, what would you like in comics right now?
Oh, no, I was going to ask a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Do it.
Okay, Amanda, I've been a huge fan since like 2014, so it's such an honor to see you in person. I had a question about Harley Quinn. So I remember I've been reading it since like forever, right? I wanted to know what your first impression was when you encountered this character, and also what your first vision was.
I actually did a Harley Quinn book in, I'm going to say, the late 90s, early 2000s. And I love the character. You know, and I did her in her Harley Classic costume.
It was a short story in
Yeah, it was
annual or something?
Yeah, it was in one
special?
of the Harley Quinn annuals or...
It's another character book.
Yeah,
I can't remember it.
No, but it was a Harley Quinn book. I just can't... Yeah, I would recognize the cover if I saw it.
But like Paul Dini, Batman Adventures, kind of classic.
It was and I remember drawing it and thinking, this is such a fun character, and I love the classic costume, but I don't like drawing it because she's wearing a mask, and I love doing facial expressions, and I always feel like masks get in the way of that, you know. So and it's like Spider-Man. I love that costume. I still don't draw.
Just want to do it.
Right. So,
Wow.
and then, so yeah, well, you know, the first time I saw Harley Quinn, I thought, oh my God, this is such a cute character. She's so fun. And then when we got a hold of her back in 2013, she was in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
And she was, you know, she was wearing, you know, she'd already gone through her nurse iteration, and, you know, they were sort of trying to, like, sexy her up and everything like that. And they're like, yeah, we want you to do this Harley Quinn. And I'm like, I hate neck ruffles.
Yeah.
You know? And she had like the neck ruffles, and I'm like, I remember even when I was little, I used to see portraits of Queen Elizabeth and going, why is she wearing those stupid things? You know? Oh, by the way, there's a whole story behind the neck ruffles, like where they came from. They're actually a decorative way for, you know, like the wealthy, you know, aristocratic people to hide their syphilis sores.
Oh my God. That's awesome.
You know, a very smart person at a panel told me that. I was like, really?
And what do you compare neck ruffles to?
Oh, they're the mullet of the 16th century. I don't like them.
Party in the front.
Similar. I looked up once the etymology of the word tawdry, and it comes from the word St. Audrey's lace, because she used a lace to cover up a rash on her neck.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
See,
that's cool.
yeah. So I hate
So
drawing.
what does a
neck
Jimmy mean then? No, okay, go
Yes, well that's what, and then I was like, I'm not drawing this costume for the foreseeable future. No way. So I was like, I kept it kind of a similar costume, but then I started adding stuff to it, and I'm like, she looks like a badass roller derby chick, and I'm like, badass roller derby chick, that's gonna be her look, you know. So that's sort of where we went with it.
That's
So
excellent.
yeah.
Can I say my favorite Amanda story? And then you co-wrote it with Darwin, your Silk Spectre, before
Oh, thank
Watch was
you.
great. Well, because, oh, that's good. I'm glad everyone
And they
knew
actually
you were
did
great.
in April. There's a volume 2 of the collected works of Amanda coming out from DC.
Hey, awesome!
And it has Silk Spectre
Yeah.
in it, the story in it.
And I love that story because it's really about what happened in the record business in the 60s.
Yes.
And that's fantastic that you tied.
Yeah, that was actually Darwin's idea. We're like, what are we going to do with this? And Darwin was actually saying no to Dan DiDio for a long time, because Dan had that before Watchmen idea for like years before it actually came out, and he kept saying, Darwin, I want you to do it. And Darwin was like, I just don't have an idea for it. And then he had an idea for it.
That's cool.
And he's like, all right, I'm ready to do this. And so yeah, we're trying to think of, we were thinking, all right, Silk Spectre was born in 1949. She would have been the that generation,
Absolutely.
the hippie generation,
18 during the Summer of Love, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So we went with it, and it happened just before the sun. It was 66, right? So it happened like just a little bit before that, when everything was just, right at the cusp when things were going, from the beat generation to the hippie generation. So
Started the
that's
psychedelic kind
Yeah.
of era and everything.
Yeah.
And like Sinatra and like the
Yeah.
record people like, all right, you hippies, calm down.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
take it easy.
So it just the amount of research that like Darwin did, and then that I did afterwards, and Jimmy was you were such a freaking saint during the whole thing.
She drove me
because-
crazy for months.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh my God, I feel like I never see you," and I was just holed up in my studio for about 8 months.
You got to understand, every panel in that book
Yeah.
is genuine to the year it happened. So she researched shoe stores, she researched everything in that book is San Francisco during this year, down to the signs, the streets. It's insane.
I even called up my aunts. One of my aunts was born in 1949, and I'm like, okay, you moved to San Francisco at this time. What was it like? So I like drilled, I drilled them.
She's very obsessive.
Yeah. I'm very obsessive that way, yeah. So, and also I tweaked a little bit of the things because I know that Alan Moore had made things happen a little bit earlier in the original book, and I'm like, well, if that happened, then this could have happened. So I would, tweak it that way.
Seriously, it's one of my favorite.
Remember how much everyone hated these books?
Yes.
And then the Watchmen thing comes on HBO and everybody loves it, and I'm like going, now would have been a good time to put those books out.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, and I'm sure they I'm sure they repackaged.
Yeah, well, that's what the book is for one of the books. Yeah.
Have you written solo? Where you've written intro? Do you want to?
I've written. I know I've written solo.
Kid Death.
Kid Death and Fluffy. You did help me a little bit on that.
I did.
Yeah, because it's your character. Kid Death and Fluffy, I think, was my first writing gig that I did by myself.
Wonder Woman 600.
Wonder Woman, that was solo.
You got a short story?
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
that was, it was about Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's very rarely used powers of communicating with animals.
Awesome.
That's what it was about.
That's awesome.
And Power Girl's miserable cat.
And you guys, your Power Girl is fantastic.
I adore Harley Quinn. But there is like a big spot in my heart for Power Girls. She's like my absolute. That's why I like to put them together because like Harley's just some like nuts, and Power Girl is just such a straight man, And when you put them together, it's just like So it's a lot of fun.
That's outstanding. And more questions? Yes, sir.
Okay, so a character neither of you have ever touched, Marvel, DC, or Independent. Which would you like to run on?
I think Godzilla wouldn't, right?
I've actually touched Godzilla. I did Godzilla versus.
Show us on the doll where you touched
for
Godzilla.
magazine cover.
That's right, for New York Magazine.
It was the 22 Painkiller Jane and the 22 Brides versus Godzilla.
I would like to do Godzilla, but he's chatty. He speaks English and he's chatty.
You like that Godzilla movie where he's talking?
Only Godzilla diehards would know this. There's this one movie where Godzilla speaks. These other Megalon
you're
or
sitting there watching
somebody.
going, wait, did I just hear what I think?
It's like they cut it out of every other version, but when it came out in Japan, it was like Godzilla says, something funny going on. I better check it out. And it's like, and they cut it out. It was in one of the movies as a kid, and me and my brothers kept repeating, like, something funny going on. Better check it out. And it was like, what the hell is going on?
Better check it out.
Better check it out. Yeah, so it was like the weirdest thing, and we kept thinking.
And that's the only line of monster dialogue. Those two lines, in the entire movie. So it just comes out of nowhere. You're just like,
no. We had a VHS copy of it, and we would bet people that Godzilla spoke it. So when they're like, "There's no way," and then we'd pop it on, and they go, "Play that again." And I'm like, "He said, better check it out," But I keep seeing the Godzilla movies, the last one, everything, and they're good, but they're not great. Like they're good, but I don't get the sensation of the ground moving, and there's something about the scope gets lost.
Who here has seen Shin Godzilla?
Yes.
Oh, who thought that was terrifying?
It was terrifying.
I thought it was really, I was
The
like,
politics were terrifying.
because I was like, this is what it would look like if a Godzilla-sized monster decided to destroy your city, and it was like really like. It's like, ooh.
Yeah, maybe I don't want to do this.
It's like the new Planet of the Apes movies. I mean, they're fun.
Yeah, I know.
They don't have the charm.
No, I don't have
of
Charlton
the original
Heston.
five.
You don't have Charlton Heston, yeah.
Or Roddy McDowell, or
Yeah.
Paul Williams and Roddy McDowell with rifles. The only action movie that Roddy McDowell and Paul Williams ever made. Number 5.
I'm not a big fan of remakes, only because I feel like there's a billion ideas out there. Why do we have to keep going to the same? Or as Amanda says, remake bad movies.
Yeah.
Ebert
It's
makes it better.
remaking classics. Don't remake bad.
Yeah, why would you remake great movies?
Fix them.
Yeah.
Fix
You got a
bad
question
movies.
back there? Yeah.
Yes.
I was just going to say, that's exactly what Frank Oz said to Steve Martin when they were making Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Yes.
Right, bedtime story. It's the Brando David Niven movie.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see a new Footloose. I don't ever want to see another. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why would you do that?
Or Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, or Flight of the Phoenix.
I mean,
they can't hold up.
But it just seems like there's a billion ideas. Why would we waste money on stuff that's done already? I get it because Hollywood wants your money again, and they want your nostalgia factor. You know, but if I did The Breakfast Club, it would be completely different. You know what I'm saying? Or if I had to remake Pretty in Pink, it would mean something else. And, you know, I would, like I said, you just don't do the same thing. I can watch those movies anytime. It's like comics, too.
Well, and in addition to your DC and Marvel work, and you and I have talked about this a million times, you guys have crowdfunding down to a science for your passion.
We do. We have a very loyal group of people that back my Kickstarters each time I give it, and they're the best people because they keep coming back. And we've done 12. Wow! And the recent one is people still getting packages because some of it is going out while I'm not here. So I have to do it. But we always deliver, and officially nobody can complain about any Kickstarter I've done because anybody had any complaint, they write me, I write them right back and say, okay, what's the problem? What do you need done? I pride myself in it. Patrick and my buddy Patrick and I work really hard on them, and it drives us crazy when other Kickstarters don't deliver, or people complaining because I'm like, God, we worked so hard on it, and then this one guy hasn't given people their books in 3 years.
Oh, creators, yeah.
And they ask me on the internet to go after them, and I'm like, that's not my problem. You know, I'm not their parents.
Yeah.
You know, thank God.
No, but then truly, it's been impressive watching you guys from the start succeed with these.
So I'll let you in on a secret. Comic people don't make a lot of money. Okay, as you can tell downstairs at $5 books and all, we don't make a lot of money. There's like 3 or 4 people that do. You know, we know, and we all know who they are. And when they make movies from the things you do in comics, you don't always get compensated. What you do is you get a nice thing that says thank you. Right? But you don't always get compensated, and I don't want to say who or what, but I've never even had a thank you in a Marvel movie, and they've based it on stuff that I've worked on. So we don't really make that much. So what we do is we run to the cons and we try to make a couple of bucks here and there, or we try to sell our art once in a while, but that's pretty much all the money we can make. The other thing is there's no retirement. Companies do not pay for medical coverage for us. We pay for it out of pocket. We have page rates that are set back maybe 10 years from now that need to be brought up. And then people complain about the price of comics, thinking we're getting all that, but, you know, retailer gets half, then the company gets this, and, you know. Okay, I always say comics should be around the same price as a slice of pizza. Now, where I live, it's like $5 a slice.
All right.
Okay, and the comics, what, like $3.99 and $4.99? So it's around $5. When I was a kid, and this is my age showing, in the late 60s, early 70s.
I remember.
Pizza, I remember when pizza was a quarter, and it was actually a quarter, and a comic was a quarter. And it's really funny, because I always use the pizza comparison to the price of a comic, because I'm like, a slice of pizza and one comic. Okay, that's not a bad thing. It's kind of kept up.
Yes.
You know? So we don't make a lot. So when they do make these movies based on our stuff, everyone thinks we're all making money and all this stuff, and like we usually don't. Once in a while they give us a little bonus, and it's like, so we have to hustle constantly, and we don't own any of that stuff.
Except for the creator-owned stuff.
Except for if you have a deal ahead of time. We don't own anything. We don't own Harley Quinn, obviously.
Yeah.
So when we do our own creator-owns, or when we do our own Kickstarters, it's us saying we own this now, and if you support it, that's you showing us some love. And that's what I think Kickstarter is. It's a grassroots way of saying, I support this person's stuff, I will back it, even if it's crap. Although we try not to do crap. You're right there.
Well, I was going to say, what do you think Warner Brothers' resistance is to bringing on the people that have written these characters for a significant amount of time? Like, it doesn't seem like they ever consult Bruce Timm and Paul Dini.
I'm not
Batman.
sure.
They never, even though they've made Justice League, they've made Batman, they've made a World's Finest.
They made Harley.
They made-
Yeah.
I don't. They are. For some reason, it's really important for comic book people to stay comic book people and film people to stay film people, and don't mix the two. And I don't know.
It's a lot of egos.
Go on.
It's a lot of egos, right? So the Hollywood people, like, we're good enough to take everything we created and adapt it, but we're not good enough to have us being involved with the process, right? Or they think, oh, that maybe they're trouble or something. And Jim's trying to change that. Jim Lee's up there trying to fight little
Good.
fights. So
That's
we're
good.
happy that Jim's representing us there.
Do you feel that the new Harley series, like animated series, is almost like they're testing it? Because it's very.
I actually, you know what? They were nice enough to call me in to do some character design.
Hey, that's awesome.
So that was really great.
Right.
You know, that was a huge thing.
But we would have loved to be part of the writers group.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we would have loved to be consulted. We would have loved to have any other job in it, right? You got to do some drawings.
Yeah.
I didn't exist, and I love the cartoon. And we see where it's based on our stuff, and it's based on Bruce, what Bruce did with Paul. It's an amalgam of everything, plus Gotham and crazy villains and Bane, and all that stuff. But I don't know why. And they don't. It's like some weird thing which forces creators like us to go and do our own thing. Like The Pro, like Painkiller Jane, like my Kickstarters.
Well, and like Kirkman, obviously with Walking Dead,
Walking Dead, yeah.
Well,
He's one of the lucky few that
and he's certainly
hit
consulted.
the jackpot.
What's that?
Yeah.
Kirkman.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he hit the jackpot.
Yeah, take his wallet.
Well, but I was going to say that, and the good news is the producers are going to create their own people, and they are involved, and that's what I said. Well, okay, you're on the inside.
So I'm going to say Hollywood has a funny thing about giving more work to the people who already have work.
Okay.
It's a very, sure, once in a while a comic property makes it there, but you guys know as well as I do, you watch that comic property, you don't even see the creator involved. Okay. You don't see any credits to thank you or executive producer, which means not on the set so much.
Right.
Producer means more on the set or has to do with money, all that
That's
kind of stuff. So it's up to us to kind of stand up on our own 2 feet and create things and say no to deals. Because a lot of times we get people come over and they're like, oh, we'd like to buy this property from you. And then you get the deal and it's horrible. And they don't, and guess what? I had one deal where they didn't want to put my name on it. Like, I wouldn't even get a credit. And I was like, my lawyer was like, take a walk.
Oh, hell.
Hell no. Yeah. But it's funny because we are looked at as the people that come look, every month we're writing brand new stories. Like monsters.
Yeah.
I'm constantly writing 3 books.
Yeah.
At all times.
Yeah.
And, so it just teaches you after a while. It's exhausting because I've had a TV show with Painkiller Jane. I've had Monolith at Lionsgate, almost got made, and then it fell apart at the last minute. We had the Pro at Paramount, and then we had the Pro at Paramount, MTV, and Spike at one point, and none of them could fully make it. The most we got with Spike was a little cartoon we did that's on YouTube, and Amanda had most in it, and it's great. It's offensive.
I never seen it. Good, but it's one good.
So we fight, we keep fighting, but we have to start creating our own things, and we have to start doing our things. And I always say we need the fans to kind of support those as well. And it's tough because, let's be honest, I work in a comic shop. My office is in one. I see 200 books come in a month. You see that wall of comics, it's like insane.
Yes.
And you still have a percentage of the audience that says, have to get the new X-Men. I don't even have to read it. Or, I have to buy this book because it's hot this week. I must get 10 of these. And, there's a whole other collector's thing.
Variant covers.
Variant covers.
The stack of variant covers.
Yeah, you guys know, they're fun if you like the art. I always say if you like the art.
Sure.
But I suggested once a variant cover magazine. Like every month it would publish all the best variant
that'd be amazing.
And everyone's like, you're out of your mind. And I said, because nobody would buy the variant books, they'd buy the variant cover magazine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but as a fan, I would want that. Or at least I'd want the best of variant covers each month or every year or something. Again, I think like a consumer, it's what I want. I want fun stuff. I want stuff that I don't have to go buy a $30 variant cover that means nothing, you know. It still gets wet with the other comics when it rains. So, yeah.
Gentlemen back.
Speaking of stuff that was fun, how exciting was it to do Jonah Hex with the Looney Tunes characters? Can you tell us the backstory of how that got
Okay, the first...
For me, that's one of the best things DC has done.
The first book we were offered, can I say that? What we were first offered was
Oh,
Looney Tunes?
yes. See, and I'm, yes.
Okay, so the first one we were offered was Wonder Woman, Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
That was the first one we were offered.
I know it's not politically correct to say this, but I love Pepe Le Pew.
Why is it not political? Forgive my
Well, remember Pepe, he would
He's
be like...
over the top Frenchman.
He would not give up.
He's a date rapist.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah. Shame on
No,
him.
he's not a date rape. I don't say date
No,
rape.
but he's aggressive.
He's a
very aggressive.
He's a little rapey.
He doesn't take
Right? He's like, but in a cartoon way.
Right, yeah. And he's all about the unwanted advances, but he thinks that the cat that got the accidental white stripe down his or her back wants to kiss him back. But the cat doesn't want to kiss him back because he stinks.
Yeah.
Right? And I always, it might just be because I come from a generation where like we kind of get used to that stuff. It's like, oh look, they're like grabbing at me again. You know, people do not, and it's really awesome that there's like new generations going, no, stop grabbing me. I'm going to kill you, or at least I'm going to make you really embarrassed on Twitter. You know. So it's good that that's there now, but yeah, I remember like in high school, it's like, oh, they're groping again.
But we kind of offered that book,
Yeah.
and my first gut reaction was, well, Pepe Le Pew has to be like a millionaire skunk, like a billionaire skunk. And what he does is when Wonder Woman's going on the way to the UN, he kind of like she kind of saves his life. He sets it up that she saves it, and he invites her to his $1 billion mansion in France, and then she stays there for the night. Something has to, and then all night he chases her around the mansion. You know, chasing Wonder Woman.
Do the story.
And then we just was like, no.
We were like, there's no way we can do this story. So we were like, Pepe Le Pew works with Harley Quinn.
Right.
Pepe Le Pew would probably work with Power Girl. But Pepe Le Pew does not work with Wonder Woman.
No, so then they
we
gave
had to
up,
scratch it.
and then they came to me and they said, "How about Jonah Hex and Yosemite Sam?" And I'm like, "All right, that's easy." Yes. Sam is always angry. He's got the big mustache. He's a Western guy, and then we stuck in what's his name? I'll say more. That's not how you make a paper airplane. Anyway, like we stuck in, and that was like the easiest thing in the world to write, especially with he's so angry all the time.
Who's that?
Yosemite Sam's like, ooh, I hate coconuts. Everything. He hates everything. So it was kind of fun to put him and Jonah Hex, who is like miserable as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yes, two miserable guys.
Yeah, but I'll tell you a fun fact with that book. Every line of dialogue spoken by Yosemite Sam and Foghorn Leghorn is from an actual Looney Tunes cartoon. It's just tweaked with the names. Yeah. So it's every single dialogue I stole from a cartoon. So there's nothing in that book I wrote original that's not from the cartoon. And everyone's like, are you insane? I said, it was a lot of
dialogue too, and I added some stuff, so yeah.
You messed with my book?
I messed with you.
All right.
You told me to.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, but most of it is. How about that? But anyway,
during that run with Jimmy and Justin, did you ever draw Jonah Hex?
No, I haven't. I've only drawn Jonah Hex, like, I feel like I did Jonah Hex not that long ago. On a Wonder Woman cover, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, Amanda, being an editor at one point with Multiple Lines, you put the right artist with the right character. Amanda is not the right artist.
Oh, I can appreciate that. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
I agree with it.
She's great for Tallulah Black, but not for Jonah Hex, right? And so that's half the magic of of being an editor is saying that person's wrong for that character.
I understand.
You don't want me writing certain characters. If I write Iron Man, I'll be typing all the time.
Jonah Hex if it was the right story. If it was
but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
No, I understand.
You have yet to write a Jonah Hex that I would fit into.
Well, and
Yeah.
likely you and I grew up on the same kind of westerns from reruns of 60s and 70s westerns. And no, it was a pleasure reading a great straight-up Jonah Hex book. And you had so many great artists. Darwin, did Alan Miller, right?
Who's that?
Or maybe I'm probably saying
That's
his name.
Jody Bernay.
Jody Bernay, absolutely.
Riso.
Yeah.
So many guys.
Yeah. And I mean, it was a pleasure every month.
It was funny because Justin and I were writing that book, and we did an interview with True West magazine, which is like it's a big magazine, Western magazine.
Yep.
And they got on the phone with me, and I started talking. The guy goes, "Where the hell are you from?" And I'm like, "From Brooklyn." And he's like, "That's very disappointing." And I'm like, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, we love this book. It seems so accurate. But you're from Brooklyn." I said, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, but hey, look, I also write about aliens, and I've really never been to Mars."
It's like the salsa.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
It's like the salsa commercial. This stuff's from New York City. New York City.
But that's what you do as a writer.
I was just wondering what work you're most proud of and what work you are least proud of.
Ooh, least is easy, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would say most and least. I am really, really proud of the Power Girl run and Harley run and the Pro. And then also that Painkiller Jane that I did with, the Painkiller Jane Darkness. And Zero. Yes, Zero. Zero was really good too. I'm not super proud of my Barbie run because, it was like the late 80s, early 90s, and things were really different. And they made me draw Barbie so emaciated, and I'm just like, this can't be healthy for little girls to be in, like, she was amazing. Not only that, but there was nothing she couldn't do, and I'm like, this isn't realistic. People are going to grow up thinking they can be an astronaut and a doctor and, all at the same time. And I'm like, that's just, you have to like pick and choose three, and they always used to make me like change her. They were very uptight about everything. And her entire emotional range was from like mildly satisfied to somewhat happy. And my favorite thing to do is facial expressions, and Barbie really just, was always kind of, so yeah, it was work, and I did it, and I had a great editor on it, but I'm not, crazy about that run.
If I could take back Countdown. And there was one issue they made Justin and I do was like the search for Ray, whatever, with Adam, Ray Palmer and Adam. And that was literally, whatever we wrote, the editor changed. And that book, honestly, people put it in front of me. I signed it because everything means something to somebody. Sure. But I hate that book. And Countdown was a story by committee where every month I was like going, where is this going? Can we can we stop this for a second and figure out everything ahead of time? And everyone's like, no, just keep. And I'm just like, no. What happened was there was no alpha writer on it. Right. So everyone just kept writing these issues. They kept going, and I was like, I don't even know what this is about anymore. Can I quit? And they're like, no, you can't quit. I'm like, oh, come on. It happens because these are like event books, right?
Yeah,
so
Line 52 had done so well, so I understand. Let's do it again. That was great.
And it was just the wrong pairing up. As far as proud of, I kind of like, my Painkiller Jane or Monolith or, stuff that I've done. G.I. Zombie is one I love that like nobody bought, but I love it. What I love most has nothing to do with what sold the most. But I did love writing Power Girl for Amanda, me and Justin.
Was so fun.
And Harley, I could write her in my sleep. It's the easiest character to write.
Yeah.
It's so easy because
that's because
I
she's
live with real
Bugs
Harley.
Bunny and you're Bugs Bunny.
And you're a real Harley, so question.
You all have been so successful with Harley Quinn. Has anyone in the comic book industry tried to pull you over to do one of their characters?
No, because they know our page rates. Because we don't.
They do ask us, every once in a while. Somebody will say, "Hey, what you want this?" And And like sometimes, they.
No, they want to like, we can't pay you, but we can pay you 1/3 what you get, and wouldn't it be great? And I'm like, no, it's like, dude, I'm like, we have bills and stuff, It's like, I get if I was breaking in, then I would take on anything. But we've been here for a while.
And we have taken on anything.
We have done anything.
Started,
Well, you can scratch those itches doing your own creator stuff.
Absolutely. But they do, yes. I mean, it's funny because they associate us with the success of Harley, which is great,
but also, sometimes we get offered characters that are so wrong for us, and I'm just like, I don't.
Ooh,
yeah.
If you don't mind, unless you don't, we'd rather not. Yeah.
Green Lantern. If they ask me to. Green Lantern.
Why not?
Because he has a power ring, and you just shoot his finger off, and he falls to his death. There's like 1,000 ways to kill Green Lantern. You can take his, when he's sleeping, you can slip the ring off his finger. I don't know. I just don't. It's not a character I love. Yeah, and seeing the movie didn't help it either, but it's not a character. But people love that character, so don't put me on that character. Right? I'm the wrong guy for that. Yeah. Even Flash, I was supposed to write Flash, and I wrote like 3 issues. But to me, the screwing with Flash is like making him wait online for something. Like I look at Flash differently, and Dan DiDio, God bless him, would say, "You can't do that because for some reason." I pitched the Superman story, and he's like, "Of course you want to do that, and we'll never have you do that." And I'm like, and he goes, "Because you're looking at it like in this weird way," and I'm like, "Yeah, because I've read 1 million of these books. I want something different." So Harley was great because we could do weird dream sequences, which are pretty much our weird comics, And to his credit, Dan would say, it's like you're in Amanda's universe is like its own books. Yeah. Over there, he goes, you just, the characters, you just keep bringing these characters in all the time, and I'm like, yeah. I said, and we don't tell them to, which is a funny thing because we tell them here's what we're doing in these 4 issues, and then we write something different. We do it all. Look at the solicitations for the new books, and you'll start laughing. That's good. It has nothing to do with the book we're writing.
Well, especially like Harley as a character just goes in her own. It's almost like she writes herself. She just goes in her own direction, and you think you're going to take her somewhere, and she's like, nope. And then she just goes left.
And it's also I react to the internet sometimes because they're like, they're not having Ivy in the books, and I'm like, oh, let's put Ivy in issue 3. And then we just do it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then we get yelled at. We can take the yelling.
What was your Wednesday Comics stuff?
Wednesday Comics.
Yeah. Supergirl.
So
that's right. Yes.
Supergirl and Crypto and Street.
Yes.
Yeah.
With the pets.
And I told Mark Chiarello was editing that book, and I was like, hey, if we do this, can we put Streaky and Crypto in the book? And he's like, sure.
Mark Chiarello said to me, can you write a book for all ages? To me. And I'm like, yeah, what are you talking about? Like, I could do that. And although I did get to put my version of Aquaman in.
That was so funny because at the time we were watching
Rescue Me. You guys ever see Rescue Me?
Yeah. Dennis Leary, the fighter.
And I'm like, Dennis Leary would make an awesome Aquaman.
So Amanda drew him looking like Dennis Leary, and my
I even do the gap in the teeth, and I'm like, this looks too much like him. I have to take the gap in the teeth.
But if you read those pages again in Dennis Leary's voice, because he's complaining about being Aquaman, he's like, I got the shrimp calling me here, these guys are calling me. If you read it, it's Dennis Leary, Aquaman for 2 pages.
Yeah, and that was so much fun. I love doing Dennis Leary Aquaman.
Yeah, and it's good. He had a shell phone, and he was like,
flip phones, It's like,
And that's probably sort of our problem too, because we love these characters, but we look at them as if they're real.
Yeah.
And realistically, a lot of these characters don't work. In the real world, right? Yeah. But when we're real world, we
always put them in the real world
because it's fun.
Yeah,
like it's fun to mess with them. Yeah. We had a pitch and it never went anywhere, which was we wanted to do a book of all the superheroes.
Yeah,
and not superheroes. So Wonder Woman at the laundromat, Flash in the store, getting some groceries. Yeah. We wanted to do just a book of this, and it never really took off. They were like, "What?" No.
Yeah, we were like, Flash at the post office waiting to buy stamps.
Right.
And it's Christmas season, so the line goes out the door. And
right.
She's like, ah.
And then what he does is he's super fast, takes stamps, and leaves money on the resident, but then they arrest him because he's still, the federal government goes after the Flash. Yeah, they were like, no. And I had a what if, then just to be out there, I had a what if where from Krypton, Superman came down and he landed in the ocean instead of on land, right? And he went to the bottom of the ocean, and this little baby came out and was walking around and thought that was the world.
Sure. You know, like,
And just starts eating everything, right? When he's hungry and eats fish, and all of a sudden we realize, because we don't see the proportions of things, that Superman is actually the size of Godzilla, and he finally walks onto Japan, and he's giant, and he just starts eating everything. And they're going, "What the hell is this story?" And I said, "It's a what if? It's an Elseworld. It's something that you're never going to see." And he goes, "No, that's crazy." I'm like, "No, isn't it Elseworlds and what if is like should be abstract?
Sure.
It should be way out there." And they're like, "No, it has to be not that crazy. Don't be crazy." Don't be crazy like that.
That makes no sense.
Again, I think I read a lot of comics, so I'm always trying to look at something different.
No, that's awesome.
You know?
Baseball hat. And then
You guys are talking finally about the Pro, and I know a couple years ago you did release a little bit extra of the Pro. Will we ever go back to the Pro?
With the hoe? The story with the hoe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had like,
Are we going to
she
get
had 9
more
hours.
of the
I hope so. Every time I see Garth, I like, come on, look, come on, give me more Pro to draw.
Garth always
You know?
says, "Well, you know what happened to her at the end of the story?" And I'm like, "All right, but superheroes."
Yeah,
sure.
We can always do more stories, you know, but I really have to threaten Garth more.
Yeah, he has
You know,
to
'cause
either.
he feels like he told that story already, and I'm like, no, there's more stories to tell.
And again, Garth wrote The Boys, right? So you know the realm of everything.
Yeah.
We still could use more Pro though. I want to do Pro Harley Quinn Power Girl team up.
That would be nice.
That would be something that we, and then leave comics forever. The next thing is like, "Thank you, comics. We're out." And people go, "Remember those two?" Yeah.
Another question, yeah.
If you could build your own DC team book,
Ooh.
like pick people, like if you get to pick, who would you pick?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I do want to do more Power Girl Harley and call it World's Okayest. I would like to do Big Barda, and who would I team Big Barda up with? Jimmy Olsen. I like to see Big Barda and Jimmy Olsen, and just see how that team up works out.
Yeah, I would definitely do like an all-female team. I would like to do Power Girl, Atlee, Harley. Big Barda would be great.
Yeah.
And then I would create 2 new characters, and they would have to live in one building together. And the book would not be about supervillains; it'd be them sharing one bathroom in the building. Yes, one bathroom. 4 women plus the 2 new heroes they're training, sharing one bathroom in a building, and I would never have the story leave the building. It would be like the Big Bang Theory, where it would always be in the house. And in actuality, we because Amanda did some work on the Big Bang, some artwork for the Big Bang Theory. We were friends with the guys there, and we actually pitched the Big Bang Harley book, where she moved above the guys. And we were gonna do, and it just fell apart. It just, because the 2 companies, they kind of like comics and TV.
Yeah, we actually did pitch DC a new Power Girl storyline where she would be teamed up. But it's like I don't want to spoil it. If I told you who she would be teamed up with, you would be like, oh my god! But it's really
they just
but they killed it, and I'm gonna try. We're gonna try and pitch it again because
I think if I did a Kickstarter to buy Power Girl from Warner Brothers, I wonder how that would work. So we'll guarantee we're going to chip in, we're going to buy the character, and then we'll do the thing we have. I mean, it's funny because there's a thing where DC calls you and they want you to do something, and then there's a thing we pitch ideas, and it's very rare the ideas we pitch. Although with Harley, they let a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They let us do the Little Black Book, which is something we pitched. It was like Marvel team up with Harley and another hero. And that worked out pretty good. Cool. That was a fun thing. But we have a lot we want to do, and not everybody always wants it. That's the reality of being creative. Is sometimes you get to play it, sometimes you don't. But the new Harley series we're doing now is us totally.
It's fun.
If we never do Harley again, this book will satisfy us.
Okay.
Because it's crazy.
We have so many.
Oh yeah,
we do. But I'm just saying, this one covers a lot of bases, though.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then real fast, I want to say, when Jimmy and Power Girl were together in that series, that was terrific.
World's Okayest.
I would buy that.
Yeah.
Well, as always, I love the ideas and the energy, and please keep it up. And you guys are adorable, and thank you for making the great entertaining comics that you guys
But not as adorable as that baby.
This is true.
I was sleeping. Sandy, you put that kid to sleep in your conversation. I don't know what happened.
Round of applause for Jimmy and Amanda.
Thank you, guys. We're on Instagram under our names, and we're on Twitter under our names.
It's my name plus art.
And Paper Films is our website. So if you guys have never been there, you can join a mailer that tells you where we're going to be and what stuff we have, and has Amanda's art for sale and all that kind of stuff.
Who knew? Unicorn Tate, very funny. Amanda Connor, Jimmy Palmiotti, one of my favorite power couples of comics, in a fun conversation. I hope you enjoyed it on today's Word Balloon. We've got another C2E2 panel that I did. I didn't do any floor interviews because, I don't know, I always say to give the explanation if you haven't heard it before. It's just brief. I always feel like I'm impinging on fans' time, even when I'm standing at a table. And in fact, I even know I was talking to Ryan Brown, and we were starting to get into a conversation about how the Chicago Cubs baseball is now on a premium sports channel called Marquee. And the Dodgers have gone through that. I know the Yankees went through it in New York years ago. And now it's the Cubs' turn to be on a premium-only cable channel. And we're only going to get 17 games this week. And all of a sudden there's a guy, it's Sunday afternoon, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm almost out of here. I just want Ryan to sign my books. I'm like, Jesus, let me get out of the way. I'm so sorry. And Ryan and I are locals. We could talk anytime. So I was very embarrassed by that. And if you ever see me talking to a creator, and be polite. And the guy was very, very polite. But it's like, hey, remind me, hey, dumbass, get out of the way. I want to talk to these guys because I paid money to see them, not like you walking in with your press badge. So truly, and that's why I don't do convention floor interviews anymore. And I'm thrilled to do panels instead, where it's more time, where we're sitting down for 45 minutes to an hour, just like you heard with Jimmy and Amanda. I get to have a nice conversation, and hopefully it's entertaining for the live audience, but I know it's going to be entertaining as well for you, the members of the League of Word Balloon listeners. So thank you very much for those of you who were patient enough while I was talking to people like Doug Monkey and Gail Simone and Johnny Christmas. I touched base with Johnny. It was great to meet him finally face-to-face. My buddy Sanford Green. So many, Johnny Hickman, and I call him Johnny. I don't call him Jonathan. Guy's named John that like me, like Johnny Christmas. I always call my friends Johnny that are Johns. Who else did I see? Scotty Young. My God, I haven't seen Scotty in a while. Scotty used to live here in Chicago, and we got to know each other. We're good friends. So it was a great, great experience at C2E2, and I'm excited to present my other panel. It was with the great Sven Gulli from MeTV. Everyone's favorite horror movie host who's been doing it for 40 years, and Rich Coase, he's a genius, and he is the best things about the kind of television I grew up with. And as he says, as far as Chicago broadcasting goes and local television, he is literally the last man standing. They don't make local TV like that anymore, very few exceptions, and we're very lucky to have Rich and what he does with the Sven Gulli show. And now it's a national thing, and he has become popular not only in Chicago but across the country, wherever MeTV is viewed. And you can hear from the excitement and the love of the local audience how much we all appreciate Sven being the Chicago and now national institution that he is. So that's coming up in just a couple days, one of the next episodes of Word Balloon. I hope you join me for it. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, all brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners and their support via Patreon, patreon.com/wordballoon. If you want to subscribe to Word Balloon, it's free. It will always be free. But if you like what you hear and want to help the cause, really, really appreciate it. Thank you greatly for your support, League of Word Balloon listeners. Word Balloon also brought to you by Aftershock Comics. And we're going to have some new Aftershock guests coming up. We talked to John Lehman last month about The Man Who Effed Up Time. We'll be talking soon with Stephanie Phillips about her wonderful book, Artemis and the Assassins. I'll be talking to Joe Pruitt, hopefully in the weeks or months ahead, and have him sit down and get an idea of the Aftershock philosophy and what he and Mike Martz are looking for when they corral people like Matthew Klickstein to write things like You Are Obsolete, or Animosity from Marguerite Bennett, or Baby Teeth from Donny Cates, Garth Ennis's wonderful books from Jimmy's Bastards and A Walk Through Hell, through so many more, and Dark Red from Tim Seeley and Dark Ark from Cullen Bunn and Juan Doe. Great books, Great genre-bending ideas and more interesting books are coming. Things like God Killers from Mark Sale and Zach Thompson's Undone by Blood, and lots more. I mean, I even saw some previews of other new Aftershock books that I'm very, very excited to talk to the creators about in the weeks and months ahead. Go to their website. You'll find full story descriptions, preview pages, and the way to get these books digitally or through the diamond codes to order them through your local shop at AftershockComics.com. Thanks again for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Great March is on the way, and more great conversations to come. Until next time, Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2020.